Have you ever wondered what truly happens when you're alone, when the distractions of the world fade away and all that remains is the quiet stillness of your soul? In those sacred moments, something miraculous unfolds. You don't just find peace. You unlock divine abilities that have been waiting patiently within you. These aren't the flashy powers of superheroes. They're far more profound. They are spiritual gifts designed to transform your energy, elevate your connection with God, and empower you to step boldly into your purpose. If this resonates with you, take a moment to comment 999 below. It's a powerful declaration that you're ready to embrace the extraordinary journey God has prepared for you. To those who've supported this mission through your generous super thanks, I cannot express enough gratitude. Your kindness is a light in this community of faith, and I thank God for you every single day. But let me ask you, have you ever truly embraced solitude? Not just being physically alone, but experiencing a deeper spiritual stillness. What if those moments of quiet are not empty, but instead filled with the keys to unlocking your destiny? What if your greatest spiritual breakthroughs are waiting in the silence? As one of God's chosen, you know that solitude isn't just an escape, it's a calling. It's in these moments that God reveals His mysteries and equips you with unparalleled gifts. But what are these incredible superpowers that only come when you embrace being alone? Stay with me, because we're about to uncover a truth that could transform your energy and your life forever. Are you ready? Let's dive in. God's chosen ones. 5 insane superpowers you unlock when you're alone. Transform your energy instantly. When you embrace solitude, one of the first superpowers it unlocks for you is clarity. In today's fast-paced world, you are constantly bombarded by noise, the opinions of others, the overwhelming expectations of society, and the never-ending barrage of your own thoughts. The noise of daily life is deafening, clouding your mind and making it difficult to discern what's truly important. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a fog, unable to see clearly? The confusion, the busyness, the distractions. How can you find wisdom or make decisions from a place of such noise? But solitude is a game changer. When you step away from the noise and enter that sacred space of quietness, the clamor begins to fade. Your mind, usually racing with 1,000 thoughts, starts to calm. Psalm 46:10 invites you into this stillness. Be still and know that I am God. In that stillness, you come face to face with clarity, because in the absence of noise, the truth emerges. As the distractions fall away, you begin to see things as they truly are. Not through the lens of external pressures, not through the opinions of others, but through God's truth. How often have you longed for that moment of clarity? When the confusion clears and you can see your life, your purpose, and your direction clearly. Solitude brings the gift of seeing yourself more deeply, understanding your true desires, and recognizing what truly matters. It is in this quiet space that God can reveal Himself to you, as Psalm 32:8 promises. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. In these moments of solitude, God's voice becomes clearer. You begin to understand your calling, your purpose, and the direction in which He is leading you. However, clarity doesn't come easily. It's not something you stumble upon casually. You must be willing to step into the discomfort of being alone, to sit with your own thoughts and confront the feelings you've been avoiding. What if the truth that God wants to reveal to you isn't something easy or pleasant to hear? What if, like the Israelites wandering in the wilderness, you must face your own fears and insecurities? In Exodus 13:21-22, the Israelites were guided by the Lord in the wilderness through a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. In their solitude, They were called to trust in God's leading, even when they couldn't see the full path ahead. Similarly, solitude forces you to trust in God's direction, even when the way seems unclear or uncomfortable. But just as God was with the Israelites every step of the way, He will also guide you in your times of solitude. This process of seeking clarity through solitude can be terrifying, and there are times when you may feel vulnerable or exposed. In these moments, you might face feelings of loneliness, confusion, or doubt. But these feelings are not signs of weakness. They are part of the process that leads to true power. Remember how Jesus faced the agony of knowing His ultimate sacrifice was near. In the Garden of Gethsemane, He withdrew to be alone, to pray and seek clarity on His mission. Matthew 26:39 recounts Jesus' prayer. "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." In His solitude, Jesus found the clarity to embrace His purpose and follow through on God's will, despite the suffering it would bring. So, ask yourself, are you willing to face yourself in the silence? Are you willing to sit with your thoughts, confront your emotions, and seek God's truth, even when it's uncomfortable? The truth is that solitude is a refining process. It strips away the distractions and the noise, allowing you to see clearly. It forces you to deal with the things you've been running from, just as God used the wilderness to refine and prepare the Israelites for their future. Are you ready to embrace that process, even when it seems daunting? Clarity is not just about seeing your life more clearly. It's about knowing who you are in God's eyes. In 1 Peter 2:9, we are reminded that we are chosen. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. When you step into solitude, you are not stepping away from the world to escape it, but to find the divine power that lies within you as one of God's chosen ones. Solitude is where you discover the depths of your calling and the strength to walk in your purpose. Jesus spent much of His time in solitude, withdrawing to pray and commune with His Father. It was in those quiet moments that He received the clarity He needed to fulfill His divine mission. Are you ready to embrace solitude and experience the clarity that comes from being alone with God? This is the power of solitude. It's where you learn who you really are and what God is calling you to do. In those quiet moments, you find the strength to move forward with purpose and wisdom, armed with the clarity that can only come from God's presence. When you make space for solitude, you unlock the superpower of clarity, the ability to see your life through God's eyes and walk confidently in His plans for you. As you begin to gain clarity in solitude, you unlock the second superpower, intuition. Intuition is that deep inner knowing that guides you, often in ways you can't fully explain. It's always there, a quiet whisper leading you toward your highest good. However, for many, it's a voice that goes unheard. Why? Because we are often too distracted by the noise around us, the constant influx of opinions from others, the pressure of societal expectations, and the never-ending stream of our own fears and doubts drown out this subtle yet powerful voice. In the busyness of life, we forget that our intuition is there, patiently waiting to be heard. But solitude changes this. When you step away from the chaos and spend time alone, something incredible happens. The noise fades, and your intuition begins to come through loud and clear. It's like a gentle whisper from within, guiding you with wisdom that transcends logic and reason. This voice is not just a random thought. It's the voice of your soul, the divine presence within you, and the universe speaking directly to you. Proverbs 33:6 reminds us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. This is the essence of intuition, trusting a higher wisdom that often surpasses human logic. For many, The challenge lies in trusting that voice. When intuition speaks, it often doesn't make sense. It might go against what others are telling you or seem irrational to your logical mind. How many times have you had a gut feeling about something, but instead of trusting it, you second-guessed yourself? You thought, that can't be right. What if I'm wrong? And then you ignored it. This hesitation is common. People often doubt their intuition because they are conditioned to prioritize external validation or fear the unknown. But as a chosen one, you are called to trust that inner voice. It's your divine connection to God's guidance, always available to you, leading you toward your best path. Consider the story of Samuel in 1 Samuel 3:8-10. God called Samuel in the night, but he didn't recognize the voice at first. It wasn't until Eli, the priest, instructed him to respond, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening," that Samuel realized the voice was that of God. This is a perfect example of how intuition can be hard to recognize at first, especially when we are not accustomed to listening for it. But once Samuel trusted and followed that voice, he was able to hear God's direction clearly, and it led him to fulfill his divine calling. Just as Samuel learned to recognize God's voice, so too must you learn to trust your intuition. You may find that it doesn't always align with the logic of the world, but God's ways are higher than our ways. Isaiah 55:9. Your intuition is a superpower that connects you to divine wisdom. It's a tool to help you navigate your life, make decisions that align with your purpose, and trust in God's plan for you. But you can only access this wisdom in solitude, when the distractions of the world are silenced and your heart is open to hearing that still, small voice within. Do you trust yourself? Do you trust your intuition, or are you still looking outside of yourself for answers? The truth is, everything you need to know is already within you. The Bible reminds us that the Holy Spirit, who lives within you, will guide you into all truth. John 16:13. You just have to be willing to listen, trust, and follow. Your intuition is not just a random feeling, it's a divine gift. It is the voice of God, guiding you through life's challenges and helping you fulfill your purpose. When you learn to trust this inner wisdom, you tap into a power that leads to profound transformation. So, as you spend time in solitude, open your heart and mind to the voice of your intuition. Trust it, follow it, and watch as it leads you to places of peace, fulfillment, and divine purpose. The wisdom you seek is already inside you. You just need to be quiet enough to hear it. Once you've unlocked clarity and intuition, something incredible begins to happen. You start to realize that you possess a profound power, the power to shape your reality. Yes, I'm talking about manifestation. This is the third superpower that solitude unlocks, and it's one of the most potent forces in the universe. Have you ever thought about the fact that your thoughts, your beliefs, and your intentions are not passive? They are actively creating the reality you experience. How often do we forget that we, as God's chosen ones, are co-creators with Him? When you're alone, stripped of distractions, you begin to understand this truth on a deep level. Your thoughts and beliefs are not just floating out in the ether. They are the building blocks of your reality. Most people move through life unaware of this power, unconsciously manifesting their world. They don't realize that their thoughts and beliefs are constantly shaping their experiences. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what am I thinking and believing right now? Or, what is the reality that my thoughts are creating? They think that life is just happening to them, that they have no control over what comes their way. But for you, as one of God's chosen ones, this is not true. You know that you are not merely a passive observer. You are a co-creator with the universe. Your thoughts and intentions have the divine power to bring things into existence. Jesus reminds us in Mark 11:24. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, Believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Do you truly believe that when you pray and ask, God will provide? Do you trust that your thoughts, aligned with His will, have the power to manifest? Consider the story of God creating the world in Genesis 1:3. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. In the very beginning, God spoke His intention, and His words brought reality into existence. Just as God created the world with His words, your thoughts and spoken words have the power to shape your reality. How often do you pause to reflect on what you're speaking into existence? Do you speak life into your situation, or do you unknowingly speak defeat? When you're alone, when you enter that sacred space of stillness, you begin to realize that your ability to manifest becomes exponentially more powerful. Psalm 46:10 encourages us, "Be still and know that I am God." In that stillness, your connection with God is deepened, and the clarity you gain allows you to align with His purpose for your life. Have you ever noticed that in the quiet moments, God's voice becomes clearer? It's in those times of solitude that you can truly tune in to His will and align your energy with what you want to create. However, there is a crucial element to manifestation that many overlook. It's not just about thinking positive thoughts and hoping for the best. It's about aligning your energy with what you want to create. It's about getting clear on your intentions, trusting your intuition, and then taking inspired action. Do you understand that manifestation requires action on your part? What inspired steps is God calling you to take in faith to bring your desires into fruition? This is where solitude becomes invaluable. In the quiet of solitude, you have the space to really think about what you want. You can reflect on your deepest desires and get in tune with what aligns with your highest purpose. Are you clear on your intentions? Are your desires aligned with God's will? Or are you simply chasing after fleeting things that won't fulfill you? In solitude, you can listen for that still, small voice of God, which guides you toward the right steps to bring your dreams into reality. What is God speaking to you right now in this moment of quiet? Are you listening with a heart open to His guidance? In 1 Kings 19:12, Elijah hears God not in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in the still, small voice. God speaks most clearly when we remove the distractions and listen intently. What are you manifesting right now? Are you consciously creating the life you desire, or are you unknowingly creating a life filled with fear, doubt, and limitation? The truth is, you are always manifesting, whether you realize it or not. Are you manifesting from a place of power and alignment with God's will? Or are you allowing fear and insecurity to dictate your reality? Philippians 4:6-7 reminds us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Are you bringing your desires to God with gratitude and trust? Or are you holding on to them in anxiety and fear? Think about the story of Joseph, who was sold into slavery by his brothers. Despite facing incredible hardship, Joseph's dreams never left him. In Genesis 41:46 it says, "Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt." Joseph didn't let his circumstances stop him. He trusted in God's plan and aligned his actions with his dreams. The manifestation of his dreams came not just through thinking positively, but through faithful action and trust in God's timing. What are you doing today to align your actions with the dreams God has placed in your heart? What are you manifesting right now? The choice is yours. Solitude offers you the opportunity to clear away distractions, align your intentions with your divine purpose, and tap into the limitless potential that comes with knowing you are a co-creator with God. When you take the time to listen, to get clear on your desires, and to trust in God's plan for your life, you activate the power of manifestation. You are not just wishing for things to happen. You are actively shaping your reality with God's guidance, bringing your dreams into existence. As you begin to master the power of manifestation, something extraordinary happens. You unlock the fourth superpower, emotional resilience. This superpower is often underestimated, yet it is essential to your spiritual and personal growth. It's one of the most powerful tools God gives His chosen ones, but many overlook its importance. The ability to rise above emotional challenges is key to living a fulfilling life. When you find yourself alone in that sacred space of solitude, you are compelled to face your emotions head-on. Have you ever found yourself avoiding your emotions, hoping they'll disappear on their own? You can't escape them. You can't turn to distractions or to other people. You are forced to sit with your feelings. You must feel them deeply and understand them. How does it feel to confront your emotions in this way, without distractions? It is here, in this raw vulnerability, that true emotional resilience is born. Many people try to avoid their emotions because they fear them. Pain is seen as a sign of weakness, sadness as a burden, and fear as something to be conquered. But what if emotions aren't the enemies we think they are? What if, instead of running from them, we learn to face them and find strength in the process? Think about how the world handles emotions. Most people numb themselves with distractions through social media, excessive work, toxic relationships, or even substances. Have you ever used these distractions to avoid your emotions? Society often tells us to suppress pain, fear, and sadness, to push them aside and keep moving. But for you, as God's chosen one, there is a different path. You are called to confront your emotions directly, not to run from them. How often do you take the time to feel your emotions, to sit with them instead of distracting yourself from them? It's in this confrontation that you develop emotional resilience. This isn't easy. It requires courage, vulnerability, and strength. But it's through this courage that you grow stronger, wiser, and more deeply connected to God. Consider how the Apostle Paul experienced emotional growth in 2 Corinthians 9. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." Paul learned that his weaknesses, including his emotional struggles, were not something to be ashamed of. Rather, they were an opportunity for God's grace and power to shine through. How do you view your emotional struggles? Do you see them as weaknesses, or do you see them as opportunities for God's power to be revealed in you? As you embrace your emotions, you realize that they are not your enemies. They are energy moving through your body, signaling where healing is needed. Have you ever felt like an emotion was controlling you, but realized later that you just needed to sit with it, to process it? In the stillness of solitude, you have the space to hear those signals clearly. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." When you're in pain, God does not ask you to hide or suppress it. He is right there with you, offering His comfort and healing. What does it mean to you that God is close to you when your heart is broken? How can His presence help you face your emotions without fear? Jesus provides the perfect example of emotional resilience. In the Garden of Gethsemane, He faced His deepest fears and sorrow. In Matthew 26:38, He says, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." Jesus did not deny His emotions. He felt them deeply. He didn't ignore the fear, the sorrow, the anxiety about the suffering He was about to endure. Instead, He expressed them to God. Jesus' prayer in Gethsemane is a profound example of emotional resilience. He didn't avoid his pain, but he surrendered it to God, saying, "Yet not as I will, but as you will." Matthew 26:39. What emotions are you avoiding right now? Are you ready to bring them before God and trust Him with them, just as Jesus did? As you sit with your emotions, you begin to understand that they are not something to fear. They are messages from your heart, signals pointing to areas in your life that need healing. They are not weaknesses. They are signs that you are alive and growing. When you allow yourself to feel these emotions fully, they lose their power to control you. Have you ever experienced a moment where you thought your emotions were too much to handle, but in surrendering them to God, you felt lighter, freer, and more resilient? The Bible speaks about emotional endurance and resilience in many places. Romans 5:3-4 says, "Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope." How can you find hope in your suffering? How can your perseverance through emotional challenges shape your character and your faith? Your emotional challenges are not just something to endure. They are an opportunity to grow in God's grace, strength, and purpose. Every time you face your emotions head-on, you are building the resilience necessary for future challenges. In solitude, you are given the chance to process your emotions deeply and to reflect on God's presence in those moments. But here's a crucial question. Will you choose to face these emotions with courage, knowing that God is with you? Will you sit with the discomfort, allowing God to use it for your transformation? Emotional resilience is not about avoiding or suppressing your emotions. It's about allowing them to move through you, knowing that God is using them to strengthen you. In Isaiah 41:10, God offers this powerful promise. "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." What does it mean to you that God is committed to strengthening and upholding you, even in your most vulnerable moments? When you choose to surrender your emotions to God, trusting that He will provide strength and healing, you unlock the power of emotional resilience. Are you ready to face your emotions with courage, to sit with them, and allow God to use them to build your emotional strength? As you do, you will discover that emotional resilience is not just a superpower. It is a gift from God, leading you to greater freedom, growth, and a deeper relationship with Him. As you begin to master your emotions, you unlock the fifth and final superpower, self-mastery. This is the ultimate transformation for God's chosen ones, a level of spiritual maturity accessible only through the discipline of solitude. But what exactly is self-mastery? It is the ability to control your thoughts, regulate your emotions, and direct your actions, allowing you to shape your destiny in alignment with God's purpose. It is about rising above fear, doubt, and ego to fully embrace your higher self, the person God has called you to be. Consider Jesus' time in the wilderness. Matthew 4:1-11. After fasting for 40 days, he faced severe temptations from the devil, yet he remained steadfast. He overcame not by relying on physical strength, but by exercising self-mastery rooted in the Word of God. When tempted to turn stones into bread, he declared, "Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Matthew 4:4. How often are you tempted to give in to immediate desires instead of standing firm in your purpose? Are you ready to respond to life's challenges with the same spiritual discipline? Self-mastery shifts you from being reactive to becoming a deliberate creator of your reality. However, this is not a process that happens overnight. It is a lifelong journey that requires discipline, dedication, and a willingness to face yourself honestly. Proverbs 16:32 reminds us, "Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control, than one who takes a city. True strength lies in mastering yourself, not in conquering external challenges. Have you considered how your lack of self-control might be holding you back from living out God's plan for your life? In solitude, you're granted the space to reflect, observe your thoughts, and evaluate your actions. Most people live as slaves to their minds, driven by unchecked emotions and habits. They react to life without realizing the power they have to choose their response. But God's chosen ones are different. They understand the truth of Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Mastery of the mind is the foundation of self-mastery. You are not your thoughts, your emotions, or your circumstances. You are a child of God, empowered to create a reality rooted in faith, purpose, and divine alignment. Reflect on your own life. How often do you allow anger, fear, or sadness to dictate your actions? Have you paused to consider how you could respond differently with faith and intentionality? Solitude offers this opportunity. It is in these quiet moments that God works within you, molding you into the person He created you to be. Self-mastery is not about achieving perfection. Even Jesus experienced fear and anguish, as seen in Gethsemane when He prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. In that moment, He felt the weight of His mission, yet He chose to surrender His fear to God and move forward with obedience. Have you ever faced a moment when doubt or fear gripped you? What would it look like to rise above that fear and trust in God's plan? True self-mastery is about recognizing moments of weakness and choosing to align with your higher self, the version of you that God has called to act in faith and love. As Galatians 5:22-23 tells us, one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. It is a divine gift, cultivated through discipline and faith, enabling you to live a life that reflects God's glory. Most people live unconsciously, reacting to the world around them without questioning their patterns. But the chosen ones have the ability to pause, reflect, and make intentional choices. They can step back from fear and respond with faith. They can overcome impulsiveness with patience. They can replace doubt with trust in God. Are you ready to be one of these people? Are you ready to take full responsibility for your life, thoughts, emotions, and actions? Self-mastery does not mean avoiding mistakes or never feeling fear. It means choosing how you respond to those moments. It means recognizing when your ego wants to control your decisions and instead allowing God to lead. It is about acting from a place of love and faith, even when the circumstances around you are difficult. This journey will challenge you, but it will also transform you. You are invited to take full responsibility for your life, stepping boldly into the calling that God has placed on your heart. As 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds us, "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline." This is your superpower, self-mastery, and it is the key to fulfilling your divine purpose. Are you ready to master yourself? Are you willing to commit to the discipline, the solitude, and the courage it takes to unlock this ultimate gift? Through self-mastery, you will not only transform your own life, but also inspire and uplift others, becoming a living testimony of God's power and purpose. The path is before you, and God is calling. Will you answer? Now that you understand the 5 superpowers that solitude unlocks, clarity, intuition, manifestation, emotional resilience, and self-mastery, you might find yourself asking, what's next? How do you fully step into these powerful gifts and embrace your role as one of God's chosen ones? The answer is simple, but not easy. You must be willing to walk the path of solitude. It's a path of transformation, one that requires courage, faith, and the willingness to embrace discomfort, uncertainty, and even fear. But here's the truth. Solitude is not a punishment. It's not something to be avoided or feared. It's a divine gift, a sacred space where real transformation happens, where your true power is revealed. What do you think it means to embrace solitude as a gift? Have you ever considered that in solitude, God reveals deeper aspects of yourself that you might miss in the hustle and bustle of daily life? It's in those moments of quiet that you discover who you truly are. Not who the world wants you to be, but who God created you to be. Have you ever experienced the peace that comes when you stop, reflect, and listen to the stillness? Solitude is where your truest self is unveiled. Solitude allows you to step away from the distractions, the noise, and the external influences that can cloud your mind and emotions. In that space, you find the clarity to make decisions, the intuitive guidance to know which steps to take next, and the emotional resilience to handle the challenges that come your way. But what about the fear of being alone? Many people fear solitude because it forces them to face themselves. Sometimes they fear what they might discover. But remember, this fear is part of the process. It's in facing the discomfort that you find true growth. Think of the great spiritual teachers, visionaries, and leaders throughout history. What do they all have in common? They all spent time alone. They embraced solitude as a crucial part of their journey. They understood that in solitude, they connected with the deepest parts of themselves and tapped into the wisdom of the universe. Jesus, for example, spent significant time alone in prayer and reflection. In Matthew 14:23 it says, "After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone." Even Jesus, who had the power to heal and perform miracles, knew that the foundation of his ministry came from being alone with his Father. How often do you seek time alone with God to deepen your connection with him? Do you see solitude as a time for reflection or as a moment of weakness? Jesus modeled the importance of solitude, showing that it is in those quiet moments that you draw closer to God, gain clarity, and receive direction. And now it's your turn. God is calling you to embrace solitude, to face the discomfort, and to uncover the power that is already within you. Solitude is not about isolation, it's about connection to God, to your true self, and to your purpose. Have you ever considered how powerful it is to be alone with God, free from distractions? In solitude, you experience a deeper intimacy with God, where his voice becomes clearer. It's in those moments that he can reveal to you the next steps of your journey, just as he did with the prophets and leaders in the Bible. Moses spent 40 days and nights alone with God on Mount Sinai before receiving the 10 Commandments, Exodus 34:28. David too often withdrew to the wilderness to commune with God, as he did in Psalm 62:1, saying, "My soul finds rest in God alone, my salvation comes from him." Do you feel that kind of peace in your time alone with God? Are you ready to listen for his voice in the quiet places of your life? Walking the path of solitude doesn't mean that it will always be easy. There will be moments when you feel uncertain, fearful, or even lonely. But it is in these moments that your greatest transformation happens. These are the times when God molds you, shapes your heart, and prepares you for the great purpose he has for you. Think of how Jesus endured his time in the wilderness. In Matthew 4:1-2 it says, "Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry." Jesus' time in the wilderness was not just a time of testing, but also a time of preparation. He was alone, facing temptation and physical weakness, but it was in that solitude that he grew stronger in his mission. Have you ever wondered if the seasons of solitude and hardship in your life are actually times of preparation for what God is about to do next? It's often in the quiet, testing times that God equips you with the strength, wisdom, and resilience you will need for the journey ahead. What might God be preparing you for in this season of solitude? Are you willing to embrace it as part of His plan for your life? The truth is, solitude helps you to connect with your purpose on a deeper level. It's where you gain clarity about your role in God's plan. It's where your superpowers, clarity, intuition, manifestation, emotional resilience, and self-mastery are fully activated. It's where you unlock the power to live the life God has designed for you. When you walk the path of solitude, you open yourself to God's transforming power. You learn to hear His voice more clearly, understand your true purpose, and become equipped to face whatever comes your way. Are you ready to step into your purpose and embrace the solitude that will guide you there? Are you prepared to let go of your fears and insecurities, knowing that in solitude you will find not loneliness but connection, not isolation but empowerment? Solitude is where God shapes you into the person you were always meant to be. And now, it's your turn. You've learned about the 5 superpowers solitude unlocks. And now you have the choice to embrace the path of solitude that leads to self-discovery, growth, and empowerment. What will you choose? Will you take that first step into solitude, trusting that God is with you every step of the way, ready to reveal your true power? But here's the challenge. Most people are terrified of being alone. They fear sitting with their own thoughts, confronting emotions they've been avoiding, and facing the parts of themselves they're not ready to acknowledge. This fear is why so few people ever unlock their full potential. They fill their lives with noise, social media, work, relationships, anything to avoid the stillness. But here's the truth. Solitude is not a punishment. It's not something to be feared. It's a gift, a sacred space where transformation happens, where your true power is revealed. Think about it. When you're alone, there's nothing to hide behind. No distractions, no noise. It's just you and your thoughts. What would it look like if you embraced that silence rather than running from it? Solitude is the space where clarity, purpose, and power are birthed. And this is where the chosen ones thrive. The stillness is where the magic happens. It's where your soul aligns with the divine, where transformation takes place. Do you ever wonder why the greatest spiritual leaders throughout history, whether Moses, Jesus, or even the Apostle Paul, spent time in solitude? It's because they knew that in that sacred space, they could connect with the deepest parts of themselves and with God in ways that couldn't happen in the noise of daily life. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be still, without any distractions, just to be with God? Embracing solitude is the key to unlocking these superpowers. But how can you make solitude a part of your everyday life? The first step is simple, yet incredibly powerful. Create space for it. Start small. Carve out time in your day, even if it's just a few minutes, to be alone. Turn off your phone, step away from the noise, and simply sit in silence. It might feel uncomfortable at first. Your mind might race, your emotions might bubble up, and you might feel the urge to distract yourself. But what if, instead of running from that discomfort, you sat with it, trusting that it's in these moments of vulnerability that the most profound growth happens? What if those uncomfortable moments were the very catalyst for your transformation? Psalm 46:10 reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." What could God reveal to you in the stillness if you allowed yourself the space to listen? This is the path of transformation. As you learn to sit with your discomfort, to feel your emotions without judgment or avoidance, you unlock the superpowers that have been dormant within you. In those quiet moments, you begin to understand your purpose more clearly, to trust your intuition more deeply, and to align your energy with your desires. Can you picture yourself manifesting with ease, aligning your thoughts and actions with the deepest desires of your heart. Over time, as you spend more time in solitude, something incredible begins to happen. You'll start to feel more connected, not just to yourself, but to the universe, to God, and to the wisdom that flows through you. You will begin to trust your intuition more deeply, to follow its guidance, even when it doesn't make sense. When was the last time you followed your intuition without second guessing? In solitude, the still, small voice of God becomes clearer, and you begin to trust it with confidence. Embracing solitude allows you to develop emotional resilience. Instead of running from your feelings, you face them head-on. Imagine being able to confront your emotions without fear or overwhelm. As you practice this in solitude, you start to develop a deep sense of emotional strength. James 1:2-4 encourages us, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope." How might your emotional resilience grow if you embraced every emotion, every trial, as an opportunity for growth? The most powerful aspect of embracing solitude is the self-mastery it unlocks. In those quiet moments, you learn to master your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. You become intentional in how you respond to the world around you. Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all things through him who gives me strength." What would it feel like to live from a place of self-mastery, responding to life's challenges with unwavering strength, grounded in your faith? When you embrace solitude, you begin to live with purpose, focus, and power, no longer swayed by external circumstances, but anchored in the knowledge of who you are in Christ. Solitude is not a path of isolation, it's a path of connection to God, to your true self, and to the divine purpose within you. The more you embrace solitude, the more you begin to access the superpowers of clarity, manifestation, emotional resilience, and self-mastery. These aren't abstract ideas. They are real, powerful abilities that can change your life. Are you ready to step into this journey, to create space for solitude in your life, and in doing so, unlock the power God has placed within you? But here's the thing. Embracing the path of solitude doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world. It doesn't mean withdrawing from life or cutting yourself off from others. In fact, it's the opposite. The more you embrace solitude, the more deeply you connect with yourself, and the more deeply you can connect with others. Have you ever noticed how the moments you spend with yourself in stillness lead to a deeper connection with others? When you're aligned with your true self, when you've unlocked your superpowers, you show up in the world in a completely different way. You bring more light, more wisdom, more love into everything you do. You become a beacon for others, a guide for those who are still lost in the noise. Imagine how your life could shift if you began to show up as your truest, most powerful self. What might it look like to radiate that light and wisdom in every interaction? This is the paradox of solitude. The more you embrace it, the more connected you become, not just to yourself, but to the world around you. It's in the quiet moments of reflection that you find the strength to serve, to love, and to impact others in profound ways. Solitude doesn't make you self-absorbed. It makes you more present and more available to others. It allows you to show up as the person God created you to be, fully aware of your purpose and your power. Have you ever thought about how much you could impact the world if you spent more time connecting with yourself and God? When you connect with the deepest parts of yourself, you are able to love others in a way that is not dependent on external circumstances. You give love, wisdom, and light freely because you've tapped into an endless supply within. So, are you ready to walk this path? Are you ready to embrace solitude, to face yourself, and to unlock the superpowers that are waiting for you? This isn't an easy road. It requires commitment and courage. But the truth is, you've had these powers all along. They've always been within you, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. The only thing you needed was to embrace the quiet, to step into that sacred space of solitude. It's here, in the stillness, that you begin to hear the whispers of your soul, reminding you of who you really are. Do you remember the last time you truly listened to those whispers? When you took the time to sit in solitude and connect with your heart's deepest desires? The solitude you seek is not a place of isolation, but a place of revelation. It's where you rediscover your true identity, your purpose, and your power. Psalm 46:10 invites us into this place of stillness. Be still and know that I am God. What could God be revealing to you in your moments of stillness? What could you discover about yourself, your desires, and your potential if you took the time to embrace this sacred space? You needed solitude to remember who you really are. It is in this space that the noise of the world fades, and the truth of your identity becomes clear. You are a child of God, chosen, empowered, and equipped to fulfill the divine purpose set before you. When you are aligned with your true self, there is nothing you cannot accomplish. You have the power to manifest, to create, and to live a life of extraordinary impact. How does it feel to know that this power has always been within you, waiting for you to step into it? Solitude is where your transformation begins. It's where your superpowers are unlocked, and where you begin to live the life you were always meant to lead. Are you ready to embrace solitude and discover the person you were always destined to become? The journey starts now. In the silence you will find everything you need. The light, the wisdom, the power. It's all waiting for you. Will you step into it? The path of the chosen one is not an easy one. It requires courage, commitment, and a willingness to step into the unknown. But it is also the most rewarding path you can walk. It is the path that leads to true power, true freedom, and true fulfillment. How often do we find ourselves stuck, distracted by the noise and busyness of life, longing for meaning and clarity? The path to your true self isn't found in distractions, it's found in stillness. The road less traveled is the one that leads you home, to the place where your true power lies, waiting to be awakened. And now, the choice is yours. Will you continue to distract yourself with the noise of the world, or will you step into the stillness and unlock the superpowers that are waiting for you? The noise of the world is constant. Social media, work, relationships, obligations. But in that constant clamor, your true voice, your divine guidance, gets drowned out. Are you ready to silence the distractions and hear God's voice clearly, leading you to your purpose? The path is open. The gift of solitude is waiting for you. All you have to do is embrace it. What might it feel like to step into a space where the only noise is the whisper of your soul, the whisper of the Holy Spirit guiding you? When was the last time you truly took a moment of solitude, disconnected from everything just to listen? This gift of solitude will lead you to uncover the superpowers within you: clarity, emotional resilience, intuition, self-mastery, and manifestation. It's all there, within you, waiting for the right moment to be unlocked. So, are you ready to take that step? Are you ready to walk the path of the chosen one? The road ahead may seem uncertain, and there may be moments of discomfort, but remember this: you are never alone. God walks with you, guiding you, strengthening you as you journey through life's challenges. The rewards of this path are worth every step. Remember, everything you've been searching for has been within you all along. You just needed the silence to hear it. In solitude, you begin to rediscover the power that's been within you from the very beginning. Your purpose, your strength, your connection to God. Isaiah 40:31 reminds us, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Are you ready to trust that God is renewing your strength through solitude? The choice is yours. Will you continue to live in the noise, or will you choose the quiet that leads to transformation? Will you embrace solitude as the powerful gift it truly is? The decision you make today will shape the life you live tomorrow. Step into the stillness and discover the power that lies within. As we come to the end of today's topic, it's incredible to realize how powerful you are as God's chosen one. When you are alone, that's when the true strength within you is unlocked. These insane superpowers are not just spiritual gifts, but divine abilities designed to elevate you in ways that can transform your life and the lives of those around you. Never forget that you're not alone, even in your solitude. God is with you, empowering you with strength, wisdom, and vision that no one else can comprehend. The moment you embrace these powers, you'll begin to see your life shift in extraordinary ways. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? If this message resonated with you today, I'd like to invite you to support this channel through Super Thanks. Your generosity helps us continue to share this powerful content with you. And even if you can't donate, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for being here, watching, and supporting. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who need to hear this message. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how this message is impacting you. May God's blessings overflow in your life today and always. You are chosen and you are powerful.